moving as much as we... So welcome everyone. We're here for another Connect and Share, and would you believe next week is the big 70? We're turning 70. So we are here for another Friday with some great content. But before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the lands on which we all meet today and our traditional owners of each one of your areas in which you live today and breathe and also experience the outdoors. So I'm on Darug and Gurungai territory, and we say Warrami, which is hello and welcome, and yeah, pay my respects to all people Aboriginal with us today and our elders past, present and emerging. So thank you to everyone who participated in NOIC this week. I think I'm still recovering. It's not normally one you need to recover if it's virtual, but I've got to tell you the lead up to it and the excitement on the day and the discussions and everything. And thank you for all the great comments that we've received from the event, but it certainly gives us a bit of a taster of what's going to come in 2022, which we're already organising. We'd already somewhat organised it before we had to postpone it, but yeah, we're off and running and looking at 2022. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, you can jump online and secure those ready for next year. There is a survey out, so anyone that did participate, we'd love your feedback because we'd always like to try to improve and make sure that the content is relevant for everyone that attends. So if you can provide that feedback to us, we'd be most appreciative, and we can make these things grow and improve. So how things change in such a short span of time, my goodness. Okay, so as you would have seen in the newsletter last night, we're sort of just around the corner from where we're starting to see activity again. And you might have noticed that close contacts now, if you're fully vaccinated, you no longer need to isolate. That was a huge change that came out in the media yesterday. So yeah, signs of some real positive things coming about. And as we know, the 70% vaccination will commence, all the release of the restrictions will commence, sorry, on the 11th of October at the 70% rate, and the 80% rate will be the 18th of October. And in ACT, it'll be the 15th, so only a few days after New South Wales, and then the 29th of October for the 80%. There is a whole summary of all the restrictions, which I thought I'd quickly take you through. Leslie will put this link into the chat for you because this is quite a lengthy document from the ACT, but this gives you a really good snapshot of all the different restrictions and how they're going to change from the 15th to the 29th and then into December. So have a look at that. If you've got any questions, that's why we're here. So grab the phone and give us a call and we will certainly help you navigate through those. In the New South Wales roadmap, you might have seen this on our Facebook page. There's 4 really clear infographics which take you through the roadmap in all the different areas. So the 70%, the 80%, and then 1st of December, which yes, as we've heard, will be international travel on the agenda and down to our 1 per 2 square metre rule. So just a reminder that it'll be 1 per 4 square metre rule until that 1st of December mark, but there will be some releasing of restrictions that'll be very welcome for our industry across all areas of activity, including bookings and seating areas, ticketed events as such. And a reminder that caravan and camping grounds can reopen literally from the Monday, the 11th of October. So Brody, I'll come to that question in a second. I think that's actually here on one of these slides. Actually, let me go back and I'll find that for you. Travel, there we go. So travel between Greater Sydney and regional will be 80%. So that'll be the 18th of October. So that's when we can leave our area and travel regionally. I actually submitted a request yesterday because there's some confusion if regional New South Wales can travel within regional New South Wales from the 11th, or if that has to wait until the 18th of October. That is not clear in any of the current guidelines that are out there. So once I hear that, that feedback, I'll let everyone know in case they wish to know that. But certainly, Brody, being in Blue Mountains, you can't go into regional New South Wales until the 80%, unless yes, you get a permit for a reason. So any other questions on any of those that we could help answer spontaneously today? Jump in. Can Sydney travel to us? No. So basically until the 18th, no Greater Sydney area can go outside their own LGA. They certainly can leave home to do other things like eat out and go into more shops and retail, etc. But it still remains within their own LGA until the 18th of October. So we can't travel regional to regional. That's what I'm trying to get clarification on, Mel. So yeah, let me get that to you. But there is an understanding you can't do it now, but whether you can do it after the 11th, we're just getting that clarification. And any other questions, please shoot them through. So camps, that's the big one that's hanging over our heads right now. We're unclear on the Department of Education, both in New South Wales and the ACT, on what they're going to allow when it comes to outdoor education, school camps and excursions. So obviously trying to get the terminology right when it comes to outdoor ed. We are enforcing more understanding of outdoor education as opposed to excursions, and encouraging the department to see the difference there. But we are doing a lot of work in this space. So if you haven't already, please send this document, which I've sent to you a couple of times now in your newsletters, to your local members with the letter or template or your own letter, I don't mind, to make sure that your local members are aware that you are not able to get back to business yet, and the reasons behind that. Everything we're doing at the state and federal level as far as advocating for this will only be supported by each of your local members. And certainly some conversations we've had, the conversations are quite prominent, but they still need more support. And certainly I think their eyes are getting the kids back to the classroom at the moment. They're not set on us, but yeah, it's really key that we continue these conversations. Next week, I've got a meeting with KPMG and Treasury to discuss the opportunity outside of the restrictions for our industry. So we'll see if we can get the two to align for a good outcome. So any questions, again, please feel free to jump in on that. But it's really key that we're all singing from the same song sheet here and saying the same things. So we encourage you, and I can see Graham's on the line. We partnered with Christian Venues and the ACA on this activity to make sure we are all saying the same things. Okay, so the grants, JobSaver payments will end. So this is why these discussions are really crucial for us right now. They're going to taper off until the end of November. So they will remain in place until the 10th, and that's when the 70% happens. Then they'll be scaled back to 30% of your payroll. And when we hit the 80%, it'll be 15% of your payroll. So obviously we need to make sure that there is either a plan for our opening up of all of our businesses and all of our activities, or we talk to the government about what support we can get for us, as we are not permitted to be able to continue our activities just yet. Grants in the ACT, there's an extension. So again, you might have remembered last week I talked about the extension payment. This is another one, which is great because it's bringing it in line with what the New South Wales businesses have been getting. So for all those that have been receiving these, you don't need to do anything else. If you've already been approved, you will automatically receive this payment. So that's great news for all of our members in the ACT. Trail bike survey, you might have seen in the newsletter that we have a survey out there that is crucially important for our trail bike subcommittee. We are trying to understand the economic worth of this activity in regional communities right across New South Wales and the ACT. So we have this out in the marketplace right now. We encourage anyone that is connected to the activity or knows people that are connected to the activity to get involved and certainly complete this survey. It will help us to understand a lot more about the habits and activities of trail bike communities, and we can open up conversations with those communities about catering better for the activity and looking at ways we can improve. So please share that amongst your friends and colleagues, anyone who is in that community. So today we have a great guest speaker. Nick is here. It's not Chanello. I thought it was Chanello, but it's Nick. And Nick Passalis is here from the Australian Taxation Office to help guide us in some of the tools and things they have available for us to use. But also Nick has advised me that he is welcome to answer any questions you may have in relation to your dealings with the Australian Taxation Office. So Nick, I might pass over to you and let you kick off.
Well, thanks, Laurie. I'll just share my screen so you can have my presentation on there.
And guys, if you have questions already, throw them into the chat and we'll keep them until Nick's finished his main presentation.
All right, thanks for having me today. It's an honour to be here to talk to you guys in outdoor New South Wales and ACT. I know you guys have experienced a downturn during COVID, one of the industries that's probably been smashed more than others. So hopefully now, particularly in New South Wales where I'm located, hopefully, we'll get back to some sort of normality in the not too distant future, and you guys can go off and do what you do best in the outdoors. Well, as Laurie said, my name's Nick Passalis. I work in the Australian Taxation Office. I work in the Sydney branch. So my role and my team's role is to provide educational products for small business community. So we run webinars, we run workshops. We attend a lot of natural disaster stuff on the ground. Like I've done a lot of drought work, a lot of bushfires, and I'm sure once COVID is over, there'll be a lot of face-to-face visits to small business on the ground as well. Before I continue, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of country throughout Australia and their continuing connection to land, waters, and the community. I'd like to pay my respect to them and their cultures and elders past and present. Okay, as Laurie mentioned, I have got a formal presentation, but it's a pretty basic presentation. If you guys want me to throw the formal stuff out, I'm happy to do that and open it up for a Q&A, but I'll leave it up to you guys. But I'll kick it off to start off with. So this is what I'm going to sort of cover today. Finding information, so how to navigate through our website. That's always a hard thing to do, being such a big website. As Laurie said, I'm going to go through some calculators and tools that could assist you in your business. Set up for success. So some of the tips the ATA gives small business, how to set up for a successful business, what support is available for small business, and questions. I'm not necessarily leave questions to the end. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to jump in and ask a question. All right, let's kick it off. Okay, our website. Our website's a pretty big website, and a lot of the feedback I get when I'm out and about is I can never find anything on your website. Just a tip, as you can see on the screen, there's some tabs up here: home, individuals, business, not-for-profit, super, tax professionals, and about ATO. If you ever got a business-related query, click on the business tab, and that sort of narrows down and goes into different subheadings, and you'll be able to find out your business-related query by clicking on that link. Okay, so that's one. And if you've got something, a query about your individual circumstances, click individuals, and something will come up there. All right, so if you click on starting your own business, it goes into starting your own business. So what you need to know before you get started. I know most of you guys are established businesses, but if you're ever thinking of starting something different, there's always some really good information on here, what you need to know before you get started. when you're up and running, what you need to know, your reporting and paying tax obligations. And this is where my team, the small business webinars and workshops are located. So we run webinars on a daily basis. Different topics, we've got up to 40 different topics we run, from cash flow products to introduction products to employer products. So if you're ever keen and got a spare hour, jump on this website, register for one of our webinars. And if you're unlucky, you might get me as a presenter. If you're lucky, you'll get someone else. And as you can see, I haven't got a face for video. I've only got a face for radio. So that's why I turn off my camera. But I will turn it on later. Okay. If you ever want to contact the ATO, down the bottom of our webpage, there is a contact us space where you click on that. And the phone numbers pop up, emails, or if you ever want an after-hour contact, you can book in an after-hour contact, because I know you guys are out and about during the day, and you might want the ATO to contact you later on in the evening when you're relaxing. So please click on Contact Us, and that will go in and show you how you can request a call back at a time more convenient for you. Okay, calculators and tools. All right, so as you can see, the arrows moved across now to calculators and tools. So down the bottom of the web page, there's about ATO tools, help for taxpayers getting it right. So down the bottom there, there's the calculators and tool option. So what I wanted to do is highlight a few of the tools today that probably can assist in your business. And one of them that I wanted to touch on is the business viability assessment tool. Okay, the business viability assessment tool is something where you can put in some information on there, and what it does, it actually gives you some suggestions or improvements you can make in your business to make your business viable moving forward. We also run a webinar on the business viability assessment tool. So if you ever want to know more information about business viability assessment tool, as you can see, there's other sort of calculators on there around, simple tax calculator, tax withheld calculators for your employees. Everything's on there. One I want to highlight down here is the ATO app. I don't know if you ever are aware of the ATO app. It's a record keeping tool that you can download on any of your smart devices. And what that does, particularly if you're running your business as a sole trader or a partner in a partnership, you can document all your expenses on that little app under My Deductions. And then you can either download that straight to your pre-filling report in your tax return, or you can email that straight to your tax accountants. So it's a pretty good tool. It's free, and it's strictly confidential. The ATO can't go in there and see what you're doing. A lot of people are concerned about privacy, but it's definitely an app where if you download it, it goes to your tax return. If you don't download it, no one else can see it. So I encourage all you sole traders and partners out there, give this ATO app a go. It's got other really amazing functions that I'll go into a bit later on, but yeah, give it a go. All right, this is more information on the business viability assessment tool. So as you can see, if you click on the tool, it goes into different industries and what you can sort of claim. So have a play around with it. It is confidential once you go in there as well. The ATO is not going to go in there and say, oh yeah, David's done this and done that. I'll give him a phone call, but no, it's not the case. It's a tool just for yourself. So I encourage you to go in there and give it a go. It's on our website. So once you click on the tool, it'll take you straight in there. So you put things like your business name, there's help functions and everything like that. Okay. So when you go into business, obviously you go into business to succeed. Okay. So businesses operating well and meeting their obligations usually have a few things in common. One thing is you've got to have good cash flow management practices. Okay. Use technology as much as you can to run your business, and you got to have good record keeping practices in place and effective reconciliation methods in place. That's an important thing, keeping good records and reconciling your records. Okay, if you don't reconcile your records, you don't know who owes you money or who you owe money to. So it's pretty important to keep good records because particularly from a tax perspective, we work on evidence. And if you haven't got the evidence to substantiate any of your deductions, then as far as the ATO is concerned, it never happened. Okay, so you might lose out on a deduction that you're entitled to. So all of these practices obviously complement each other, and they create efficiencies that flow through the rest of your business. So with accurate record keeping and the digital tools to back it up, it is easy to track, monitor, and also make improvements in your cash flow. So when you have all three of these practices in place, it becomes a lot easier to stay up to date with your business admin. Okay, you guys, outdoors is what you do best. But if you've got all these practices in place, it makes your admin stuff a lot easier for your business, because unfortunately, we all have to keep our admin in order when we're running our business. So if you're looking at ways to get started or improve on each of these business areas, obviously, again, the ATO have online webinars that the team runs. I encourage you to maybe look at, if you want a record keeping one, Introduction to Business Records. If you want to know more about cash flow, we have Cash Flow for Small Business Success. And for your digital stuff, we've got digital options for your small business. So there's some of the webinars we offer, and I encourage you, if you do want to know more information on any of these three key areas that we identify, jump on our website under business, search for your small business webinars, and register for one that you can go in. All of them are live and interactive, so you have the ability to ask live questions as well. They're not pre-recorded. There's always a live person running it.
Back when I was running an economic development department at a council, I remember the stat that was quite evident. I think it was 9 in 10 businesses actually failed due to poor cash flow. Is that still right?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I don't think it's as high as 9 out of 10, but it's pretty high. I'd say probably 7 or 8.
Yeah, okay.
And that's spot on. The biggest compliance issue we find from a tax perspective is businesses that have poor records tend to, either fail or, get amendments when they do get audited. If you've got good records, the ATO can't do much. You've got all your records, even if you get audited, if you've got the records to substantiate all your claims, whether you're running at a loss or a profit, then the ATO can't do much. So one of the key indicators from an ATO perspective when it comes to audits is obviously your private living expenses. Okay, so the ATO these days are pretty sophisticated. We get a lot of third-party data. Gone are the days where people used to declare, $10,000, $15,000, but their outgoings in their private life were like $50,000, $60,000. So you've got to be able to substantiate your lifestyle. And that's where a lot of red lights ring in the tax office when, you're declaring low incomes, you haven't got a spouse to help you out, or your spouse is earning low income as well, but your outgoings are a lot more than what you're declaring. So that always runs red lights in the tax world. And obviously those people tend to have poor records as well. So in my old days as an auditor in the tax office, I used to love that kind of business. Go in there, they've declared $30,000, their outgoings were $80,000. There's at least a $50,000 difference. Show me your records. You've got poor records. All right, you've got $60,000 undeclared income. Oh, no, I don't. Yes, you do. You've got no records to substantiate it. And thank you very much. I'll hit you with 60,000. I'll penalize you. And I'll move on to the next one. And you either got off lightly or because you got poor record keeping, you didn't get off lightly. So yeah, just if you've got good records, no one can ever question your business or what, if you're making money or not making money. All right, some things to consider. Okay, so now let's look at some of the ways to help meet your tax and super obligations and set your business up for success. So as you can see, get your business up and running, you will need to consider, obviously, registrations. We all know the registrations that you need to run a business. You also need to consider when your tax and other obligations are due. That's an important thing. Know when your obligations are due. On our app, we do have some calendars where you can put in your obligations. So that's very important. And if you can't meet your obligations, contact us. Okay, that's a key message. A lot of people say, oh, okay, my tax return is due on the 30th of October. Oh, it's now the 14th of November. I'll lodge it when I can. Contact us. Say, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Tax. I cannot lodge my tax return for obvious reasons. We're in COVID. Our industry shut down. I can't see my accountant. So can I get an extension? Sure, no problem, Laurie. How much do you want? We'll give you 3 months. But if you don't tell us what's going on, unfortunately, we're not mind readers, and we just assume that you're trying to do the wrong thing. So an important key message, if you're ever struggling to meet your tax, super, or any obligations when it comes to the tax office, contact us. You'll be surprised how friendly we are. And we normally play ball with you and give you what you want. Because at the end of the day, I've been in the tax office long enough, and I'm sure most of you guys have been in business long enough to realize the big change of behavior the ATO has done over the years. 20 years ago, the ATO used to hit you with a big stick and try to get every last cent out of you, whether you can afford it or not. But now the ATO is willing to work with you and stretch arrangements, interest-free, that kind of stuff. But unless you talk to us, we can't help. So please give us a call and we can assist you. All right, so I'm not going to go into too much business registrations because you guys have been in business for a while, but obviously from a tax perspective, your identity is your ABN number and your tax file number. So depending on how you run your business, what structure you're using, if you're a sole trader, you can use your personal tax file number, but you will need an ABN number. If you've got a business name, then you have to register your business name. And if you're running as a company, you have to go to good old ASIC, the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, and register your company. And they give you what we call Australian company number. If you look down the bottom, if you start employing staff as an employer, you obviously need to register for pay-as-you-go withholding. And that's basically, withholding tax from your employee's pay. Remember, that is not your money. That's money that you need to remit to the tax office on your good old business activity statement. Fringe benefits tax. That's basically a benefit you provide employees that's not monetarily in value. So what I mean is, you might offer your employees or your spouse a company car or a van. There's other things like, you might have an arrangement to pay health insurance for your employees. That kind of stuff could be interpreted as fringe benefits. So if you do give any benefits that aren't monetarily in value, money in other words, then please look up more information on whether you are providing a fringe benefit to your employees. Okay, depending on your activity, obviously, if you're over $75,000 a year, it's compulsory to register for the good old GST, the goods and services tax. And that's, we all know that came in 2000, 1st of July 2000. And all that means is if you're charging one of your customers $100 in the old days before GST, you still charge them $100, but you put an extra 10% on there, and it's $110 now. So you still do what you want with $100, but that $10, put it aside and see if you can have enough money to pay your GST bill. That's one thing I do encourage when I try to go out and about. A lot of people get into cash flow and money problems because that extra $10 that they charge in their customer now, they tend to use it as cash flow when at the end of the day, it isn't part of your cash flow. So please put it aside and then you have no issues in meeting your tax obligations. Okay, pay-as-you-go installments is a system brought in place to pay your tax in advance, particularly when you're in the first year of operation in your business. You put in your tax return and then you get hit with a lump sum. But pay-as-you-go has been brought in to pay your tax in advance. So if you think you're going to pay $6,000 tax at the end of the year, you can opt to pay $2,000 or whatever it is, $1,500 a quarter towards your tax liability. So when you do lodge your tax return, you've already paid your tax. And if you paid more tax than you're supposed to, you'll get a refund. If you didn't pay enough, then obviously you'll get a little bill. And there's some of the common activities as well, like fuel tax credits. That's in for people with, big off-road trucks and stuff. Wine equalisation tax is people in the wine industry. They have to pay wine equalisation tax. And of course, there's the luxury car tax that applies to people that buy luxury cars. Another important thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is that depending on what you do, there could be some state government permits or local council permits that you might require to pay. So please keep an eye on that. And if you ever want to know whether there is some special state or local permits required to do what you're doing, there's a really good website on business.gov.au. It's called the Australian Business License and Information Service. So ABLIS, ABLIS. So if you go in there, put what your industry is or what you do in your business and hit enter, and it'll tell you if you need any special permits to operate at the state or local level.
There you go. I'll just put in the chat for you, Nick.
No worries.
And just on that, people may not know, they may know, but Service New South Wales actually has a grant out at the moment for all small business, $1,500 rebate on any of those state licenses. So if you have those and you're paying for them, you can get a $1,500 rebate at the moment.
Okay, this is a pretty basic screen. I'm sure all of you are all over this. It's a little basic formula. So assessable income, take away any deductions you might have in your business, is what you get taxed on. So you don't get taxed on your assessable income. You get taxed on your taxable income, which is your whatever you earn gross. Take away your deductions is what tax is worked out on. So my favorite 3 golden rules for an allowable deduction. The most important thing is the expense must have been for your business. Okay, you can't claim something that you use for private and business purposes. That's when you can only claim the portion you use for your business. Okay, so if you're using, let's give an example, a car, both for private and business use, you can only claim the business usage of the car and deductions and running costs. And the most important thing, as I mentioned earlier, you must have a record to prove your expense. Okay, if you haven't got a record to prove your expense, it didn't happen. Okay, so that's where good record keeping practices are very important. So that moves on to, what records do I keep? A lot of people always say to me, what records do I keep? Okay, a good rule of thumb is you keep all your records related to your business. Okay, whether it's income, expenses, you go out and buy an asset for your business, you've got to keep it all. And when I say you've got to keep it all, it doesn't have to be in paper, in boxes, in your garage that in the old days. You can store it electronically. Okay, and if you do store it electronically, please back up your systems, okay? Because if you lose your electronic records, then unfortunately it takes you a long time to try to reconstruct your records. And the most important thing is why you keep good records, because it is a legal requirement to explain all your business transactions. It's got to be in writing, whether that is stored electronically or on paper. And because our main language in Australia is English, it's got to be in English. Okay, if it's not in English, you've got to be able to translate it in English. Okay, so, and a lot of people say, how long do I keep records? Well, from a tax perspective, you keep records for 5 years from the time the record is complete, or sometimes later. So when we say obtained or complete, it means when you finish that transaction. So sometimes with supporting tax losses or related to capital gains tax, it's 5 years from that when you claimed your last loss. So if you're experiencing losses over a couple of years, you've recouped your losses 2 years later, it's 5 years from that date, okay? Sometimes longer for, employer records, employee records. I think fair trade like 7 years. Okay, so from a tax perspective, it's only 5 years to keep your records. After 5 years, you can get rid of them. All right, my favorites, the do's and don'ts of record keeping. Okay, record keeping can be very, very easy. Okay, if you're organized and stay organized. Okay, you've got to file your source documents regularly. Okay, so when I say regularly, don't leave it to the end of the year. Okay, because if you file things regularly, it takes you a lot less time, and your tax agent will love you for it because you're organized and they're organized. What we encourage is to have, if a couple of separate books. If you're doing electronically, if you're using electronic software like MyOb or QuickBooks or Xero or whatever, there's cash books on there, electronic cash books. One is for your cash receipts, which is money coming into your business. And one is your cash payments book, which is money going out of your business. So if you record those transactions regularly, everything's summarized in those two books. If you like the old manual paper recording, if you've got two books, a cash payment and cash receipt book, that's all you need. Record all your purchases and all your income in those, and Bob's your uncle. Everything's recorded and you can't make mistakes. And if you've got good record keeping, you can seek help early. Instead of wait till the end of the year to find out that your business isn't doing too well. If you've got good records, you can find out a lot earlier than at the end of the year. And the don'ts, for goodness sake, do not mix personal and business transactions. Okay, do not leave, try to operate a business out of your personal bank account. I encourage you to go in there and create a business account and do all your dealings out of the business account, because it just gets messy if you try to run your business out of your personal bank account. And the last point in there, as I mentioned, do not leave record keeping to the end of the year or the end of the quarter. Okay, the longer you leave it, the harder it gets. Trust me. So if you record regularly, at the end of every day, you want to unwind with a cup of tea or a beer or a wine, sit down there and only take you 5 or 10 minutes to do your record keeping. But if you leave it to the end of the day, imagine 10 minutes over 365 days. That's a lot of minutes to be sitting there trying to catch up on your record keeping. Okay, I mentioned this earlier, the HL app. Okay, you can download it on any of your smart devices. Don't reach for your phones just yet. But it's got a lot of really handy tools and calculators that I mentioned earlier. You can obtain most of your tools and calculators from there. There's the My Deduction space, the second picture there, where you can record your business records. So you can record your income, your expenses, and if you use your vehicle in your business, It's got a really, really good logbook. Okay, so you can record your odometer record, you can record your trips in there. And there we go.
Yeah,
Matthew's got it. So yeah, it's a great tool. And if you do use your card, that's all you need for your logbook is this great old ATO app. A lot of people aren't aware of it.
No, I wasn't
free.
aware of that, Nick. I've got another app that I use, which I really don't like. So,
well, there you go. Try the ATO app, Laurie. If you don't like it, don't email me. Email the Commissioner of Taxation.
Done.
Yeah, but it's got some really other great handy tools, and it gives you links directly into our website as well. And another really good tool in there, it's got industry benchmarks. So I don't know if you guys are aware of small business benchmarks. Every industry has got some sort of benchmark attached to it. So it gives you like percentages on, how much money you should be making and what your expenses should be according to other people in similar industries. So give them a go as well. And down the bottom, you can see there's home, individuals, business, even superannuation stuff. There's your business online services, tax withheld calculators. It's a really great little app. And I normally don't, blow the horn for ATO stuff, but this ATO app is definitely worth it. It's free, and yeah, it's really easy to use. Okay, so when it comes to your reporting obligations, obviously we all know if you're over $75,000, you have to complete a business activity statement. The most common reporting period for a small business is quarterly. Okay, so normally a quarterly BAS lodgements, if we start at the start of the financial year, July, August, September, is normally due and payable by the 28th of October. So the 28th day of the next month. As I mentioned, if you've got problems meeting those obligations, please give the good old tax office a call and they're willing to assist. Other things you fill out on your business activity statement is obviously pay-as-you-go installments, pay-as-you-go withholding, etc., etc. Every year, whether you're in business or not, unfortunately, we've got to lodge an income tax return. Okay, and if you go via a tax agent to lodge a tax return, you normally get till the end of the May the following year to lodge your tax return. But if you're lodging on your own, you normally have to have it in by the 30th of October. And obviously on there, you record all your personal income or your business income, and that's where you claim all your deductions. So they're your reporting obligations for a business. If you guys like to deal with the ATO electronically, we do have the ATO online services, which makes lodging your BAS electronically a lot easier. If you're an individual, you can also lodge your tax return on online services. If you're a business, unfortunately, you can't lodge your income tax return online. You still can lodge it via a tax agent online, but at this stage, a business company cannot lodge a tax return via online services. Other things you can do on online services is you can add and cancel registrations. I mentioned you can lodge your activity statement. You can check your tax and account balances. You can request transfers and refunds. And we also got a secure mail box on here where you can send and receive secure mail through online services instead of getting the old, paper trail, relying on good old Australia Post for your letters. So if you do want to talk to the ATO online, I encourage you to go and register for online services for business. And like everything, we do have a specific webinar on how this works. So I encourage you to jump online and have a go at registering. it's a lot quicker, it's a lot easier, and a lot of the time you can also get extensions a lot easier through there as well. Okay, we're coming almost to the end of what I want my formal part of the presentation, but as I mentioned, before I wrap up, it is important to mention that, you know, the recent times have been really challenging for small business. If you're affected by a recent event, you know, disaster such as COVID-19, even flood, bushfire, cyclones, whatever the case might be, there's no need to worry about your tax affairs right away, okay? The ATO will give you time to recover and help you get back on track when you are ready. Okay, you can visit the ato.gov.au website dealing with disasters, or you can phone our emergency support info line on 1-800-806-218. So that's 1-800-806-218 to discuss what support options are available for your circumstances. Okay, so if you're worried you won't be able to pay on time or you've already missed due dates, the ATO have a range of options to support you. So visit the webpage, help with paying, or contact the ATO, as I mentioned, as early as possible so we can work with you to find a solution. It's never too late to contact us and ask for help. So please get on the line and contact us. Also, there's also assistance. The Ombudsman, the Fair Work Ombudsman, and Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise have also developed a tailored mental health coaching service for small business owners. It's called New Access. It offers free one-to-one telehealth sessions with mental health coaches who have a background in small business. So you can find out more by going onto their website. It is a free service, and I encourage you, if you ever need to talk to someone, please don't think you're on your own. Reach out, and there is people that can help you free of charge. So please reach out there. Okay, for all of you guys on social media, you can connect with the ATO online through social media. Why not jump on your phone now and make ATO your Facebook friend? Okay, you know, you'll be envy amongst your peers and colleagues having ATO as a Facebook friend. If you're into Twitter, you can get a lot of tweets with the latest tax and super information. There's a lot of ATO people on LinkedIn, me myself included. I was forced on LinkedIn by one of my junior staff members. So if you ever want to know stuff, there is LinkedIn as well. And if you ever have problems sleeping at night, we do have a YouTube channel where you can go in there and find out anything you want to know about tax and super. So I encourage you to do that. And please don't record that part of it, because I always get in trouble for saying that if you have problems sleeping, to jump on YouTube. So yeah, that basically sort of comes to the end of what I wanted to cover today. The rest is up to you guys. If you got it, there was a question that Laurie mentioned earlier before we started around your grants, whether they're taxable. Unfortunately, any income-related grants are added to your assessable income, and they are taxed after any deductions are taken away. So yeah, whether they're that job finder, was it?
Yeah, job saver.
Job saver, job seeker, job keeper. You know, even job keeper hiring credits, all sorts. They're all taxed, unfortunately. Even your local. Yeah.
Yes. What about the individual disaster payments from the federal government? Are they the same?
Yeah, they're all accessible income. You know, because they're grants that have been given to you that normally you would have made if your business was up and running. So unfortunately, it is added to your assessable income. There used to be grants that weren't taxed, and they're more specific, like startup grants to start your businesses up and stuff, not necessarily support grants. So yeah, unfortunately, all grants are taxable. I'll turn the video on now so you can know what I look like.
There he is. Awesome.
All right, has anyone got any other questions? I'm in my home office here in Southwest Sydney. So if you see any kids come in, apologies.
That's all right. I think we've got the similar thing happening here. That's great, Nick. Thank you so much. Is there any?
No, you're welcome.
From anyone else? I just have a quick one, Nick. For those that might be thinking about changes of structure of business, like, sole trader to company limited to potentially a social enterprise, is there services within the ATO that can help with that?
Yeah, my team, we actually run a webinar on changing business structures. Awesome. So you can change structures at any time during your business life cycle. Obviously, most people start off as sole traders, but as their business grow, they look at company. So we sort of touch on what kind of registrations you'll need if you do change structures. And I think I mentioned some of them earlier in the registration page. If you go from a sole trader to a company, there's things to consider, not only from a tax perspective, but from other government departments as well. So yeah, we do have that information. And take this email address down as well, SB Talk. So SB Talk at ato.gov.au. That's an email address that my team administer. And if you ever got any questions, any concerns, the ATO is not playing ball with you, email my team. I'm a big advocate for small business. So I've had a small business myself. So I understand the pressures and stuff small business are under. So please feel free to reach out if you're experiencing any issues with the tax office, or even if you just if you want to chat or, want to know more information about what we do in my team, happy for you guys to reach out.
Amazing. Thanks, Nick. And I just noticed Hugh's just put in there about the newsletter that he subscribes to, the ATO Small Business Tax and Super News email. So
yes. Well done. Yeah, if all of you can get on the Small Business Newsroom, you can register for that one as well. And it does have a list of a link to our webinars down the bottom of that page, I believe. So yeah, please feel free. And yeah, if you want to take one key message away from my presentation today is, the ATO is there to help, believe it or not. Most people look at the ATO as the big bad brother, but, they've made a conscious effort in the last 5 to 10 years to change their image. So we're here to work with you. We all understand it's come down from our commissioner. You've got to listen to what people are going through in the community, not just look inside the square and follow procedures. As long as you do it correctly, you can work with people and get mutually acceptable arrangements or solutions to anyone's problem if you just listen and see what we can do to help.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nick. I don't think anyone else has got any other queries. Otherwise, they might have put them in the chat. But thank you for your time today. Really, really worthwhile. And yeah, I think everyone would take away at least 1 or 2 things from that talk. It was really good. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you for having me, and good luck with the rest of the day, and good luck in your business as well. Hopefully, everything goes back to some sort of normality soon, and you guys will be able to go do what you do best in the outdoors. And hopefully I can bring my family off to experience the great outdoors and the great backyard you guys have, which is, the land that we live in. So thank you all.
Thanks, Nick.
And yeah, don't forget to reach out if you've got any issues.
Will do. All right. Thank you so much.
All
Awesome.
right, bye for now.
See you later. Now, while we've got a couple of minutes left, I just thought I'd talk to you guys about a a public health order that came out only yesterday. And I think we alluded to this a little while ago, but what this public health order, which, as I say, only appeared yesterday, reiterates is anyone that works in education and care, whether it be at home or in an environment such as a school or care facility, must be vaccinated. So this probably was something that we were due to expect, but we didn't expect to the extent of its inclusion. So if you wanted to have a look, jump onto the legislation website. It is the one that is dated the 23rd. It was uploaded yesterday, the 30th, well, 28th, was it? And it relates to vaccination for education and care workers. So, yep, it's now official. So as of the 8th of November, fully vaxxed for anyone working in education. The other thing I thought I would bring to your attention is this document that came from Health on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, I'm losing track of the days, which sort of supports your discussions with your staff around vaccinations if you're having any trouble there. And certainly, particularly when it comes to our environment, this certainly shows the evidence around vaccinations and what it does to the lower risk of transmission indoors and outdoors, as you can see in both of these tables here. So if you want this document, certainly give me a tingle and I will send it to you, because that might help in some of the discussions if you're struggling with any of your team that might not understand or have some challenges around understanding why vaccinations are so important. On that note, I'll open it up in case anyone else wants to bring anything to the table. So we might stop the recording now and open it up to the floor.